founders wrote about their view of government in the preamble of the Declaration of Independence. That's the mission statement of government right there. It ought to be the mission statement of all governments for all people for all time. And to show you the importance of this mission statement and its companion document that allows it to be possible, the Constitution, you need look no further than this very short speech that was delivered in November 1863 by the first Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, Gettysburg Address. Because in that 2-minute speech, in the first part of that 2-minute speech, the president made a direct reference to the preamble of the Declaration, and in the closing, he makes a reference to the preamble of the Constitution. So you hear him say, when he begins 407 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Somebody probably just backed up against the light switch, I'm sure. Come on. Well, someone didn't pay their bills. There you go. All right. See, there was no panic. Wasn't that nice? Now, the people in the front row will have to check their wallets and purses. Because I just got some campaign donations, but that's okay. You think I'm joking, don't you? Oh, I love it. Okay, so could you turn out the lights again? I need to get the second one. So in the first part of the speech then of the Gettysburg Address, you hear this all, Lincoln talking about the Declaration of Independence, a nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Well, that language comes straight from, we hold these truths to be self-evident, right? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men. That's the mission statement of our nation. That's the mission statement of our government, to secure our unalienable rights. In the closing of the Gettysburg Address, Lincoln talks about the stakes that are inherent in this great civil war that the nation was engaged in, and that it is going to be testing the proposition that any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure, and whether that nation of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Well, that language, the of the people, by the people, for the people, what is that evocative of? The beginning of the Constitution, we the people. And the reason why I think he was linking the two is that we have a Constitution to then ensure that that mission statement becomes a reality. Because the founders understood that human nature being what it is, people crave power and people are imperfect. Being the practical people our founders were, they knew that every previous republic founded on this planet had fallen. And that it had fallen typically not due to an external invasion, but due to an internal tyranny. And so they set about very purposefully to create a government that divided powers to prevent a dangerous concentration of power, with a legislative, executive, and judicial branch co-equal but separate, and then a further division of power between the states and the federal government, all to ensure our unalienable rights as citizens. This is what the progressives critiqued. This is what the progressives said was obsolete. And what have they erected in its place that we can see so very clearly here in the state of California? How about the California Air Resources Board? Oh. The California Air Resources Board has been charged with implementing the provisions of AB 32, the Global Greenhouse Gas Reduction Initiative, passed and unfortunately signed by our governor in 2006. This measure says that we have to reduce our global greenhouse gas emissions in the state of California by 30% in 10 years' time. If you got rid of every privately owned automobile in California, you would not make the number. You got rid of all electrical production production like we tried to do a few minutes ago, you would not make the number. And yet, the Air Quality or the Air Resources Board has now been charged with implementing this plan. One of the proposed regulations that they have come up with is a regulation that would require automobiles sold in California to have a metallic tint on the windows so as to reduce the use of your air conditioner during summer. Interesting idea. You'd think that if it was a good idea, maybe one of our sharp lawmakers would introduce a bill. But this is the Air Resources Board idea. Now, the thing about metallicized window tints, what do you suppose it does to the operation of these little devices? Kind of makes them so they don't work anymore because the signal can't get through the metal coating. So that we solve another problem, we can prevent people from texting while driving. There was a bill I voted against. And we can prevent them from talking on the phone while driving. There's another bill I voted against. So, I mean, at least we can maybe improve the enforcement of the illegal use of cell phones in cars with this metal tint. But the point is not that they're preparing to have metal tinted windows in California. The point is how they're going about doing it. You see, when they're drafting that regulation, what branch of government's power are they mimicking? Legislature. They're mimicking my power as a state assemblyman, aren't they? I could draft a bill like that if I really wanted to. And who then has the power to approve the regulation that they draft? Well, they do themselves. And so as they approve their own regulation, who are they mimicking now? Well, the governor, when he signs or vetoes a bill, right? And because they're part of the executive branch, they then get to enforce the regulation that they've drafted and approved themselves. That's Barbara Boxer. Tell her I'll debate her anytime. It's not? She never calls me. So, then, if you don't like the regulation that they've drafted and approved themselves and are trying to enforce, let's say you're an auto dealer, or you're someone who has a car that you don't want to have metal tinted windows, and you complain about it, or maybe you've been fined and you want to appeal, what level of government do you appeal to first? Well, you appeal to the Air Resources Board, don't you? Which is like appealing to the judicial branch, only except that you're going back into that same bureaucracy. Are you beginning to see the problem with the administrative state? How we've now combined the powers that our founders so thoughtfully separated into three different branches. We've combined all of those powers into one unelected branch. As they'd say at NASA, Houston, we have a problem. Now, at the federal level, you see something similar operating with the Environmental Protection Agency, don't you? Last year, Barbara Boxer, I really do try to avoid saying her name all that much. Have you all had your meals already tonight? Tums out there that we can pass around if I say her name too frequently. Barbara Boxer, who actually got her start here in this county. And by the way, you can expunge some of your collective guilt by contributing to my campaign. I'm neither Jewish nor Catholic, but I'm not above using the two groups in America that are best known for guilt. So if we can expunge some of that, I'll be selling some absolutions outside here. I've got some envelopes that'll take care of that. So Barbara Boxer all last year tried to pass a cap-and-trade energy tax that would have hit the average American family to the tune of about $2,000 a year. All right? Now, while she was trying to pass this tax, she had some pretty amazing turnover on her staff. She's not well known for being able to keep staff. I wonder why. If she tells the general to call her senator, I wonder what she tells her staff. So, anyway, she wasn't able to get the bill passed. And what did the Democrat leadership do? They took the bill from her and they gave it to John Kerry, who was working on the bill with Senator Lindsey Graham. And they still couldn't get the bill passed. And so while they're working on this bill and failing, your unelected